Welcome to Empire Building, the podcast where we talk about building big businesses and an even bigger life. I'm your co-host, Sarah Reynolds.
I'm Seychelle Van Poole.
And I'm Tiffany Fikes. And I am really excited about what we're going to be talking today.
I'm not.
And Sarah is not. She would like to go on record as not being excited. But I find that when I see things repeated in my life, that there's like a reason why these things are repeated in my life. And I ended up on an airplane, and I was going through the like free shows or whatever, because I try to use my airplane time as like downtime. Like I don't work.
Yeah.
I don't pay for the internet. I read a book or I watch a show or something like that. And I can't even remember where I was going or what airplane I was on, but Masterclass, they had like 3 episodes of Masterclass. So, learning about something interesting, yes, please. And I went through all the topics, and it was like cooking, nope, hate that. I did a writing one. I learned a little bit about writing, and then there was like 8 episodes about sleep, and I thought, 8 episodes, like a sleep expert.
Flight.
And I didn't know they're short. They're like,
Okay. I'm like,
8 to 10 minutes.
How long of a flight was this? Oh, okay.
No,
Got it.
no, 8 to 10 minutes. And it's a sleep expert. And I'm like, I have nothing about this. So I'm really curious. And it was like how to have good sleep, or the science behind good sleep or something like that. And then, so I watched all of that. I thought, oh, that's interesting. Then months later, I'm reading a book about female health. And it was talking about sleep, specifically like sleep and perimenopause and your body going through changes, and like the sleep plays into that, which felt so weird to me. And then it was like a chapter about sleep. So all these like sleep experts all of a sudden are coming into my world. And so when that happens, I always perk up and listen.
pay
And I
attention.
thought, we need to talk about sleep. I think it's interesting, so surely somebody else is going to think that it's interesting. But so there was some
the 3 of
interesting-
us are
Right,
excited about it
2/3
today.
of your hosts today.
2/3 of humans on this podcast are excited to talk about this.
Yeah. My second strength is achiever. And so I'm always like, sleep, what? I could be achieving things. And now I'm realizing I probably need to be achieving sleep and make
Well, that's
that
what I was thinking.
Yeah, you got to gamify it. And did you know that sleep deprivation is a form of torture that militaries use to literally torture humans around the world? Like, it literally can be, if you are underachieving in sleep, it can literally be a form of torture for your body.
Well, that's one of the interesting things that I learned. So there was a Harvard sleep researcher that has proven that getting 4 to 5 hours of sleep a night, like for 5 nights in a row, so like the work week, has a similar impact on your memory, attention, and thinking speed as being legally intoxicated.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Wow.
So like I know. And so like if you don't think having 2 beers at lunch is okay before you go back to work, like maybe you are interested in this episode.
Wait, so are you telling me that if I sleep more than I am, then I can be a rapid problem solver like Seychelle? I think that's what we just heard.
I was just going to say that. I was just going to say that on the strategy. We were just, in a previous episode we were recording, talking about strategy being my superpower. We've now unlocked it, Sarah.
There you
We've
go.
literally unlocked the secret. It's sleep.
The sleep is how you get there. So.
No, I think just to be authentic and transparent, I struggle with sleep, not only from a like turning my brain off, like I literally struggle. Like I remember maybe 3 or 4 years ago, it was when our expenses had gotten up to about $500,000 a month.
Yeah.
And we had a big business, and when you have a big business, you've got really big expenses. And I could not sleep because I kept thinking about the weight of the finances. And I remember messaging my dad saying, "I'm struggling so much. I'm gonna get emotional because I literally said to him like, I would write a check right now for $1 million if someone could help me sleep. Like, I can't sleep. Like, I can't get my brain off. I can't. And so I struggle with it with like, when the minute my head hits the pillow, it's like, that's when I start thinking and really processing things. And so I just really struggle. And then also like just the reality of having a big business and then having the 3 littles. Yeah. You know, feeding them, and they were up all night. Yeah. I got used to operating on very little sleep through the kids. And so I struggle with this topic, and I almost, you know, I said to Tiffany and Say before we recorded, like, should I just hop off? Because I feel me recording this is unauthentic. Like, it's not being, and I just wanted to share my story for our listeners. Like, I'm going to be listening with you guys. I have my remarkable a blank sheet with my pen ready to take notes, and I'm going to be listening with you guys. And as they say things that I think that listeners should double down on, because I struggle in this area, I'm going to be sort of your voice today. And I'm thankful for this episode, because I do know I need to grow in this area of my life. I thought 4 to 5 hours a night was actually good. So this was breaking news to me.
Well, I want to applaud you for your bravery and vulnerability in saying that, because oftentimes what makes us uncomfortable is the thing that we need to learn and talk about more.
True.
And I also would venture to say that you're not alone with a large portion of the population in a very similar boat. And believe me, I don't think Tiffany or I are going to be over here as like the experts on sleep by any means. But I want to applaud your transparency and vulnerability on that, Sarah, because I think more people probably sit in your camp than would even venture to admit it publicly.
Well, and I mean, why this is interesting to me is because I struggle staying asleep. I can go to sleep, but for the same exact reason, I struggle staying asleep. And so
what's your sleep schedule like, Tiff? Like what is that?
Mean?
When
like,
you
when
say
do I
struggle
wake up
staying
in the middle
asleep,
of the night?
what's your no, literally I have that too. So like what's your wake up time?
2:30
when your brain
is when
starts
I usually wake up. And again, we'll talk about this. It's when the physical need of my physical body has been met, and then my mind overtakes my body because my body was not physically tired enough. And then I can't go back to sleep. Or I can, but it takes me 3 hours when I'm really at my worst. Like when I am really at my worst, I will sleep from 10:30 to 2:30, and then I'll be up from 2:30 to 5:30, and then I will sleep from 5:30 until I'm supposed to get up, either at the gym or maybe I get to sleep till 7 if there's nothing going on. Like that's my unhealthy rhythm that made me change behavior because I understood. I didn't understand how important it was, but I knew I wasn't functioning at my best and I couldn't live like that. And I think, Sarah, you're making a good point. Like with kids, you get used to, as humans, we are made to adapt. And so we adapt to this lack of sleep, and you don't even realize it's a problem. I remember, they used to say sleeping or driving when you've stayed up all night is as bad as like driving drunk. And it's actually worse because if you're drunk, you've been programmed to know that you are not at your best, so you maybe actually are consciously more careful. And being sleepy, you don't realize how it is affecting you. And so you're even more dangerous on the road.
Oh, wow.
And so, like, that's the part of this. We've been conditioned with babies and other things, and we function just fine, whatever that is, to not understand that we are not at our best without sleep. And as entrepreneurs, we've freed ourselves from the 9 to 5, which then means I was working at 2 a.m. I don't know if y'all had that part of your story too, where you're just like, okay, I no longer work 8 hours. I now apparently work 18 hours every day in this role. And I named this episode like How to Own a Business and Sleep at Night because, I've had some people, how can you sleep at night? And I'm like, that's not what that's actually not my problem. It's the weight of the business creates this thing. Because I remember, Sarah, I had that same moment when my expenses for my business were the monthly were the same as what I used to think a good annual salary was for myself.
Yes.
The enormity of that just fell on me like a weight.
And it's so interesting too, because the CDC reports, right, that adults that get less than 7 hours of sleep per night are more likely to have chronic health problems and than those who get enough sleep. And so that can lead to heart attack, stroke, cancer, depression, any number of things, because our body needs that restorative time to, heal itself. And I'm very similar to Tiffany. When my head hits the pillow, Nick will just be like, it is phenomenal. Like, you get on like a 10 or 20% recline anywhere, like at a bar, at a restaurant, on a plane.
I'm not like that.
Literally.
I wish. That's my dream.
Nick is in the other room. He can totally vouch for me. Like, I will be out. Like, I'm done. Like, I go, and I hit any sort of a recline at all, and I am out. But my problem is my brain starts going somewhere between 2 and 4 a.m. And if your wake up is 5:45 and it takes you an hour or 2 or 3 to get back to sleep, by the time it's time to go back to sleep, you have to wake up. And so there are some days that I've been awake since 2:30. And, Nick and Quinn will wake up at, 7 or 7:15, and they're like, why is the house organized and the house clean and the meal plan done for the week and the groceries about to be delivered and all these things? I'm like, I tried to go back to sleep. I couldn't. I eventually just gave up, and now I've been awake for hours. Like, what am I supposed to do?
You've lived a whole day.
I did, a whole day.
So what I'm hearing you guys say is, so one of the things I say a lot is you can't make an impact if you're dead, right? And I shared that story when I talked about my weight loss journey and making my health a priority. And I think many of us don't view sleep as part of our health. For me, I certainly didn't. I wouldn't have put sleep in the health bucket. But based on what Say just shared with the CDC, not getting enough, that's what is leading to heart attack, stroke, cancer, depression. We need to be listening. Those of us that struggle here and maybe have a limiting belief around whether or not it's important. Let's, I'm leaning in. So what do we do? Help us.
Okay, let's jump into it. So I picked it as number one just simply because it was the most impactful thing for me. I was someone who was gifted by God with excellent metabolism. And I thought exercise was something that you did for like heart health, sure, like move your body, but also like, changing your weight and keeping your weight at a certain amount. Like, in my mind, that's what exercise was for. Like, get your heart strong and keep yourself looking the way that you want to be looking, whatever that looks like to you. And then researching and not being able to sleep and getting to the end of my mental sanity, I started doing some research on that and adding exerting exercise and really adding any sort of exercise to your routine helps, because our bodies physiologically are made to move. Like work, until the Industrial Revolution, for thousands of years, humans had to move their bodies constantly to work. How we ate was physically taxing on us. How we grew our food, how we made our houses, like everybody's job had physical exertion. Industrial Revolution happened, efficiency started becoming important, technology started growing, and now we sit at a desk. And we do mental work, and it is hard. It is hard. But it's not exerting our bodies physically. So a body that has moved and is exhausted and a mind that's bored can go to sleep. A mind that is exhausted, but a body that has not been exhausted or used or, taxed, it's harder to stay asleep because your body doesn't actually physically need that much recovery time. And so what your perfect combination in this world is use your brain, be exhausted, but your physical exhaustion needs to match that so that your body needs to recover, and it helps keep you asleep longer. So this is if you can go to sleep but not stay asleep, add exercise and see if that helps. For me, it absolutely helped. And anytime, and I started with yoga. Like it's not.
Okay, that was going to be my question. What's the physical exertion you're using? Because I added like walking or running daily, like a certain amount of mileage into my rhythm, and I still have at least 3 or 4 nights a week where I'm up in between that, 2 to 3 o'clock
Walking wasn't
range.
enough. Walking
Yeah, so I'm
wasn't
wondering,
enough
like,
for me.
what was it that hit the point for you that it was enough to keep you
Good
asleep?
question.
I could do 10,000 steps.
And it wouldn't matter.
And it wouldn't.
Well, yeah, if
that
you- when
wouldn't
you're in
affect.
New
That's
York,
what.
right?
That's
Like
what I
that-
always said. Yeah,
every day.
Yeah, I can
Yeah.
do 10,000 steps, and that didn't help. So then I did 10,000 steps, and I added yoga. That was good enough for my body
Okay.
for a period of time.
And
And
then
then
you've got
I
stamina.
started. Yeah, and then I started waking up again, and then I was like, okay. I mean, if you want to know my real path, then I joined
I do.
Beachbody and had like the at-home workouts, and that worked for a long time because I could up my level of exerting. I got weights at home. I got like things where I was exhausting my muscles, really using my muscles. Now I go to a gym and I do a 45-minute kind of boot camp workout, and that's my level because my body has gotten used to a lesser exertion. I don't run 10 miles. I've never run 10 miles like Sarah. I actually was going to ask you, Sarah, like, did you find that you slept any better when you were training?
No, because of hunger.
Oh, okay.
I was still trying. So I've done 1 meal a day intermittent fasting for now, like pretty consistently for about 3 years, maybe more now. But and that does not work when running long miles.
Yeah,
it does
okay,
not.
just so everyone knows. I would attempt it, and then literally about 1 a.m, I'd be like, wake up and starving, like starving.
Yeah.
And so then I had to figure out. This is why, like, running for me isn't like I am a runner, and yes, I ran 10 miles.
You are a runner, but you don't have to stay a runner.
And
Yeah, that
I'm
doesn't
not
have
going
to be your exercise
I
of
will
choice.
always
Yeah.
be a runner. Like I'm running a 5K tomorrow, but like I'm not like it's not like it's a like I'm a Peloton girl. Like I love riding, and that's my exercise. But I will say that my sleep has so. A few years ago, I would be lucky to get 2 to 3 hours. Like I'm talking lucky. Like I would do during the week, I would pull all-nighters and work a full day. I would speak. I would do like it was crazy. And then over the last few years, I started then getting 2 to 3 hours, which is probably when I added an exercise now that I'm thinking about it. And then when I started losing weight, a year or two ago, I now will get about 4 to 5 hours.
Okay.
And I viewed that as good.
We're
until
moving in the right
today.
direction.
Yeah, we're moving in the right
We're moving
direction.
in the right direction.
But I
Yeah,
definitely think
it's a
exercise
process.
helped. I didn't realize that until right now. But I definitely think it has helped a lot. And now I'm going to take it even more seriously because I could do a little bit harder of a workout, and it would probably for sure help me. So I love this tip.
All right, so that's number
awesome.
2 or number 1.
I love that.
Get some
All right, number
exercise and
2.
exert.
Yeah, get the exertion. I love that. So we start with the physical, and the mental have to match. That was a huge one for me, Tiff. Thank you for that. So if I'm having a really stressful week mentally, I actually need to up my exercise to match that. So that was a big aha for me. So wrote that one down. The next one is reevaluate your relationship with caffeine. And a good metric with this, which I love, is like the half-life of caffeine is 6 hours. And the full life to metabolize caffeine out of your body is actually 10 hours. So if you are like a drink espresso after dinner, or you're like, I need a mid-afternoon pick-me-up, it might, like what I thought about when we were researching this was it actually I may not need caffeine, I might need protein in the afternoon. Like, I think my body thinks it needs caffeine, but what it really is saying is I need protein right now. And so supplementing those two actually has changed it for me of, like, I'd get like a dip probably because I've been up since 2:30 some days, right? I'd get a dip at like 3 o'clock when my brain is like, and I cannot mentally handle anymore. Like I am mentally taxed. Yeah. And I would think, oh, maybe I need like a hot tea or a cup of coffee or something with caffeine in it. Either replacing the warm drink with a herbal tea or a decaffeinated tea or something like that has helped, or actually doing like a fruit, like smoothie with like a protein powder in it or a protein bar has actually helped me not do like the weird snacking that I would do at that time of day because that would be my time, or B, put caffeine in my body that then I can't get out until later at night.
Yeah, I just had no idea it stayed. You do it at 3 o'clock because you want help at 3 o'clock.
Exactly.
But if you drink it at 3
But that's
o'clock,
at midnight then.
Yeah, it's not out of your body until midnight, and it's still
Wow.
at half strength at 9 p.m.
That's very impressive.
Way to go,
Wow.
caffeine. Caffeine's got some stick-with-itness.
I mean, if you think about that on the opposite, it could actually, if you're doing it in the morning, not saying that you need to, but like if you're doing it in the morning, it actually should last you a while, which is good to know too.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, when I first heard you say this point, I was like, "Oh, I'm good with that. That's not impacting me because I drink 1 cup of coffee in the morning, and that's it." But I get migraines, and I take Excedrin migraine, and the leading ingredient is caffeine, and I didn't put that together until just now. So
Can I
so
ask a
caffeine is
ridiculous
in some medicine, so it's not just coffee or tea.
Sarah, that's a really good point. I'm also having an aha here right now. Like, obviously not medical experts on this panel today.
Zero medical experts. Zero, just to be clear.
I'm like, just full disclaimers, we are not medical experts. But I'm also thinking like probably why I'm having that drop at 3 is because, obviously caffeine can be addictive. And if you're having a cup of coffee at 6, 7, or 8 o'clock in the morning, and then it cycles through after 10 hours, that 3 or 4 o'clock is when your body would probably be feeling the withdrawal of the caffeine, which is then why you need it, which is then why you're wanting to supplement it with something. So really, if you had a cup of coffee in the morning and a cup of coffee at 3, that's almost like a full 24 hours of caffeine in your body. Really.
True.
If you think about it.
It's forever there. That's fast.
So I'm
I'm having ahas right now.
I'm gonna have to do cancel culture if this podcast is promoting giving up coffee.
I'm not.
just kidding.
I'm more just having some personal realizations over here of like as I sip my cup of coffee. So that feels very non-authentic. As we're recording. Dang it!
It's so good.
I should just slurp it right now for you.
But being aware of the time of day
Yeah.
of what we're consuming, I think so many
Right.
times, especially
I might
when we're
make
in the
different
middle of a
choices.
work day,
Yeah.
like we're making decisions just to get through it, like without thinking, and just the knowledge, like of
100%.
as Tiffany said, I didn't know it stayed in my system that long. Like that's that knowledge alone, like we can make some changes by just having the knowledge, right, of it being in our bodies for so long. So.
Yep.
So number 2 was reevaluate your relationship with caffeine. And I love that they still give me points to share. And I think that this would be a great idea if everyone did this. But number 3 for how to sleep at night and own a business, per Tiffany and Seychelles, is to cut out blue light, stress, sugar, bursts of activities, and alcohol after 6 p.m.
I love that you couldn't even say it.
Well, it's like okay, like because after 6 we
You're like, so
become
how
superhumans and all the stress goes away. No, how do we do that, Tiffany and Seychelles?
What if you just moderate it? Like I believe in moderation, right? Like I'm not like an all or nothing person. I'm a like do things incrementally or do things in bits. So
I'm a
like, for
recovering
example,
all or nothing person.
Yeah, that's okay. Because guess what? Competition and winning is one of your strengths.
Yes.
And it's a beautiful strength in you. And it's not one of my top 5, so I can be comfortable with moderation.
Yes.
Because it's not on my top 5. Or my number 1. I like winning, but I have other things too that are, anyways, whatever. You know what I mean? I think it's amazing that you're that way. So I think it's moderation. So for example, well, I don't know, I turned 36 or 37 and like sugar was not as like much of my taste buds as like savory things were. So I didn't have as much of a problem cutting out sugar late at night just because I still love chocolate, don't get me wrong. But like I didn't crave it as much. So that was like a gift that my taste buds gave me. But like, I don't know, COVID, right? Like, and like all the stress we were under, a glass of wine to wind down in the evening was absolutely something I was doing. Or like, how many times do you find yourself scrolling on insert whatever website, Instagram, whatever, in the evening? And so Nick and I just started doing like Monday through Friday, we just started cutting out alcohol more. And like we would reserve it for date nights or on the weekend. I think about like, Sarah, you do this so well, your family game nights, right? Like, and Tiffany, oh my gosh, like on the podcast, you gave us this gift of having the drawer that the phones go in after a certain time. Like, I think it's having a system or a routine when you're trying to limit something and having like a a rule or like this is the plan helps then eliminate something and not feel like you're missing something. So for us, like having a buddy system with Nick where we're like, most weeks we're not going to do alcohol during the week. Like, that's fine, right?
Yeah.
But you have a buddy system with it, and it helps, and it makes it easier.
So the alcohol was another fascinating thing for me to learn. So I have an Aura ring, which means it tracks my sleep and my heart rate and all this stuff. And I discovered through that when I would have a drink at night, not drink a lot, just any alcohol in my system, it takes me longer and longer for my heart rate to drop. It actually feels like it helps you go to sleep, but what happens is your heart rate stays high, and your good sleep happens once your heart rate has dropped. And so it inflates your heart rate for much longer into the night. Like my heart rate, it should drop in the first half of the night, and my heart rate wouldn't drop until like 4 or 5 even.
Wow.
And so I realized that when I choose to have a drink after 6 o'clock, I am choosing a bad night's sleep. And it is, I mean, every time. There is not a sometimes.
Wow.
It is every time. And so I now make a choice on a like, all right, I know it doesn't matter. Like I don't need to sleep really well tonight, but like even if I go out with friends, if I've got a hard day tomorrow, I say no now to a drink because I know it's going to affect my sleep at such a high level. So like that again was the science telling me, like I saw my body, I saw my heart rate different every time. And so to your point, Sarah, you just knowing it, you may make a different choice because I didn't know before.
Yeah.
What's the thinking behind? No, this is so powerful. What's the thinking behind 6? Like, so why did they say why 6 o'clock is, or have we discovered why 6 o'clock is sort of like the cutoff for those things? Or
I didn't dig into it. There was a couple of experts who just kind of said the 6 o'clock. I'm assuming. Again, it's like the caffeine. Yeah, the time to bedtime. Probably assuming if they're sleep experts, they want us in bed at 9. I do not go to bed at 9, but like I would just assume it's something to do with that.
Okay. Okay.
And the rhythm of going to sleep, which we'll talk about. But like blue light, let's talk about. Oh, sorry.
Also,
go ahead.
though, with that, Tiff, is also like you think about daylight, right? Like our body has that circadian rhythm, and so my guess is probably that 6 o'clock is time somewhere around like sun setting.
I bet you're right.
Getting darker. That's part of what's supposed to factor into your sleep, and the quality of it is how much you time it to like when the sun goes down and when it comes up. So that's I would guess, again, not a health expert, but I would guess that might have something to do with it too.
That's a great guess. I love that I said let's talk about blue light, and Sarah went and got her glasses.
I know. I'm jealous.
Yes,
Where am
I have my blue light glasses I got on Amazon.
Well, girl, get a pair and take them home. Take them home because every device you have that has a screen that shows a picture on it does it through blue light. So it's basically emitting blue light. Your phone, your computer, your television, all of these things are shooting blue light out at you. So if you work late at night, blue light. If you're scrolling social media on your phone, blue light. If you're watching a movie with your spouse, blue light. So if you are someone who struggles with sleep, going to sleep especially, you need to get blue light glasses. They have such fun ones now. You don't even have to look dorky. Do you remember blue blockers?
You have great glasses. You always have really good glasses. You need to send us your link and I'll put them in the show notes. Because you always have really beautiful glasses.
When you wear them every day, all day, you get a nice pair. But I didn't used to have blue block on my glasses. And now I pay the extra for the nicest blue block, whatever filter I can have. So if you're going to be on screens, which you probably are at night, do it with blue blocking glasses, and then you totally get to check off the blue light. Sarah, you get to win blue light.
Oh, yay. Okay, so if you have those on,
I love that.
You're doing it. Okay, so I need to put I'm very blind, so I have contacts, so I wear these at work, and then, which are just blue light, and then my prescription glasses, I just should put them on earlier when I get home. And so, because those have blue light blocking built in. So I love that. This is so good. You guys are helping me.
I love it. I love it.
Okay, so next plan, a bedtime routine. Humans crave routine. We know
Yes.
what to do when we get into a routine. So, like, say Shell's already talked about, like, put your cell phone in another room. Like, create what your bedtime routine is. Cell phone in another room. We'll talk about a routine, like what the science doctors, whatever. The ideal one, we'll talk about that. But let's just some basic things. Maybe put your cell phone in the other room from where you sleep.
Get your water next to the bed, right?
Yes. And if you use your phone as an alarm, get a $5 alarm clock. You can do it. I believe in you. Like, there are other things. Or put it in your bathroom, and then you have to get up and go to your bathroom to turn off your alarm. That's also not a bad thing in the morning. But what is that thing?
Also,
Put your cell phone
on
away.
your phone, you can set the daytime and nighttime alarm. So the do not disturb alarm, if you do have your phone next to you for bedtime, like you can set it where it goes on do not disturb at a certain time.
Yeah.
And like just won't notify you of anything. So you're less tempted to pick it up and use it. So
The notifications
question.
don't do it for me. I'm so addicted to my phone. It must go in another room or I will
hey,
pick it
that's
up.
good too. It's know thyself. It's a good
Yeah.
you actually were an inspiration for me when you said that. I thought it was great. So I love that.
Do you know if it has, I literally, as I was driving here to record, I was like, oh, I've got to do the sleep one. And I like this, I feel so non-authentic. So I started thinking about like, okay, maybe I should start thinking about being very purposeful about this. So I was like, oh, you've got that like do not disturb thing, but it notifies the other people. And I find
don't
it
care.
to be, okay.
Mine's on, like,
care.
if you text me, do
know-
I offend you when I have mine on? Because mine has been on for like 5 years, like permanent do not disturb.
Yeah. So there are lots of people in my world that have this, which is awesome because you guys are really disciplined. When I see it though, as a sender, like I'm not expecting a response right away. Okay. When I see it, like it tells me like you're not important, which I'm not at that time, which is actually like, okay, but I just rather just not be told.
So that's interesting. I think
That is interesting.
the point, can I reframe that for you maybe,
Yes,
Sarah,
please
and
reframe
all
it.
our
That's why
listeners?
yes.
So I think the phones put that do not disturb or do not disturb is on to alert you that they are not going to respond quickly because we are so attuned to quick responses and the expectation is quick responses. So what you should receive that, or you could receive that as, oh, they're alerting me that I am not going to be receiving a quick response on this.
Okay. That's good. I like that. Okay.
I mean, it's just one other way to think
I
about
bet
it.
they've
The
thought
other
it
thing
this
I
through.
think about
Maybe
is they're
you won't
probably
notify
like
them.
saving themselves from themselves. Like that's what I see. When somebody has it on, I'm like, oh, they're saving themselves from themselves.
No,
Right.
I love that.
That's what
I struggle
think.
with selfishness, so I apologize.
I love it. Man, Sarah's just laying it all out on the table
You know what
for
I
you
love?
today. I love it.
I have never there has never been an inkling, and I feel like I've known you for how many, almost like 2 decades now. I have never once thought of you as a selfish person ever. Actually, that's never even been an inkling of an iota of a thought I have ever had about you.
No,
You're
I'm
one
actually-
of the most selfless
Aw.
people I know.
Yeah, that's actually true. Thank you. And you're right.
You're welcome.
I'm not selfish. And I view that as I view that as a selfish thought, I guess I should say, which is not good, which I should be reframing it. So because I'm not selfish, I should be reframing it. Thank you guys. You're welcome. All right, let's keep going with the routine because I think that's important.
Yeah. So the other really important thing for the routine is making your bed a sex sleep temple. Like it can
When you
help
go to bed, it's time for that. Right.
You are either about to get lucky or go to sleep. Like these are the two options. Like, and what you could do, you could work in bed, you could, do other
Watch
things.
TV.
But the experts would say if you make it a sex sleep temple, then you get that Pavlovian response. Like for me, when I see something sour, I just start salivating because I want it. I'm so excited to eat something sour. And so the bed can be the same thing. Like you want whatever you're getting. Either way, there.
So George's favorite song is "Up All Night to Get Lucky." Do you know?
I love that song.
More for the beat, I think.
Yeah, it's a great beat.
Because he doesn't have to be up all night to get lucky. But okay. So, but it was funny that that's his favorite song, and then Tiffany said that, and it's up all night, like not sleeping. And so I like though that reframing what our bed is for. That's awesome.
I love that.
Yeah. So that's a part of your routine. Go ahead.
The other thing I've noticed in like getting ready for bed is like having an amazing like set of like pajamas that you love, and like making sure that like, and we'll talk about this in a second with your equipment, but like just like starting to think about the things that when you have a good night's sleep, like what is happening around you, what's your routine, what set that up for you, of like in your rhythm or your routine that like set that up. Did you take the dog on one last walk? Did you get a book out to read? Did you like, what are the things that like relax you and like kind of get you zenned out versus just like I'm going 100 miles an hour and now I'm asleep, which I can do, as we've already discussed, but it's not like the healthiest way to do that.
Well, and
so like,
I
how could you
cannot,
wind down?
So, yeah, what's the wind down?
Yeah.
I love the idea of pajamas. Like, at what point do you put on your pajamas? Light is a big thing. So, you know, when you talk about the experts saying, what should your routine be? 45 minutes before you're going to go to sleep, you need to start dimming the lights. One of the things that Joshua and I did, we got those automatic plugs, and they go off at a certain time. All our lamps that are plugged into those go off. And so at 10, I think it's 10 o'clock, all the lights in our house except for a couple of lamps go off automatically, which alerts us. It makes it darker, you know, like all those things. So that's a little tip as well.
I love that. That's a much better way to do that. When my grandfather was still alive, and we always would have our big family gatherings at his house at 8:30, when you're all still going like full tilt at his house, he'd just start walking around and turning off the lights. Just one by one until everyone's sitting there in the dark. So that actually.
It actually kind of feels the same. It kind of feels the same. I'm not going to lie to you.
You can blame it on the timer. You're like, oh, shoot, it's time for everyone to leave because the lights went out. Like, it's not like you're literally walking around staring at people turning out the lights. Like, it's a much nicer way to say it's time for bed.
It's true. So your routine would be 45 minutes. Be like Seychelles' grandfather, turn off all the lights. At the 30-minute mark before bed, you should turn off all electronics.
Okay.
And then
that's
Sarah's going to be
sometimes.
like, well, what are we doing for the next 30 minutes?
This has been the whole question. Like, okay, can we just like, I'm like, guys, like, what are we doing? Like, what do we do? Like, because now everything, even reading, right? You're on a screen a lot of times, and like, it's like I listen to books, and so I do love a paper book too.
Yeah, I love it.
And so I would just need to get back in the habit of that.
Have a fiction book that you only read in that 30 minutes. You know, when lights are low and you've turned off your electronics and you have a paperback that sits on your bedside table. That's what you do.
And then there's additional benefits, because then when we record our best books, I can actually have a fiction book to share.
You could have a fiction book to share.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, so a fiction book, that's a good idea. So 30 minutes. Okay. Writing that down.
And like, just talk. Like, talk in the dark. That's what we love to do as kids. You know, slumber parties, you turn off the lights and just talk. Just talk. Talk to your kids. Talk to your dog if you don't have anybody you're sharing a bed with. Like, that's an option too. I love reading. I love reading before bed. It is part of my routine for sure on how I go to sleep.
Love that. I love that. That's awesome.
All right, so we've got a routine. Now what?
So the staying asleep. I love that I got assigned this one because it's the staying asleep and the before you fall asleep. So this is something that a guy named Ian Morris, actually, who's out of Seattle, taught me, which is to have something by your bed for when you have those thoughts as you're falling asleep, or the in the middle of the night thoughts, right? How many problems of the world have you solved between the hours of like 11 and 5 a.m., like 11 p.m., 5 a.m.? Yep. So one of my favorite hacks with that is to have something by the bed to record your last minute thoughts. It also kind of helps relieve anxiety as well and get them out of your head, because that's my biggest problem is in the middle of the night, I'll get an idea and I'm like, I can't forget this. I can't forget this. I can't forget this. And so having a way to get it out, whether it's a journal. Ian used to keep one of those old school audio recorders, and he would just roll over in the middle of the night with an old school audio recorder, and he'd mumble to himself and then go back to sleep, just so he'd like could get it all out. Don't forget to da 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 da, and then you go back to sleep. And he's like, then you listen to yourself in the morning and you sound absolutely crazy. But it helped you get back to sleep and you got it out. So it's whatever you need to do, to stay asleep is absolutely what you have to do. And I loved this too, that some studies even say if you just write down 3 things you're going to accomplish the next day to get ahead of things, kind of like helps relieve the pent up like thought processing that exists, that you're probably going to have wake you up in the middle of the night anyways.
It's good.
Love that.
Well, I love this one. Number 6 is ending your day with gratitude. And so since you have something by your bed to write out, so go ahead and add to that 3 things that you're grateful for. And that's something that I actually do. Now, I take it a step further, and that's when I send my gratitude text messages to people. And so I would need to change that. But practicing gratitude at night helps get your mindset in a positive way. I mean, all of us, you worked really hard that day. You've accomplished a lot, and or maybe feeling like you didn't win a lot, but taking the time to say, okay, what are you grateful for? We do this with our kids almost every night, is just asking, like, what are you grateful for that happened today, or that you thought of today? And it's been such a big blessing to the family to know those things. And I love adding that on a personal way in terms of writing it down. Such a great tip.
Well, and when you focus, or maybe you're like me, and you lean a little negative in your thoughts sometimes about yourself, when you focus yourself on the positive, you're less likely then to pick yourself apart. Because that's part of what I do too. Like, how could I have said that differently? What could I have done differently right there? Like, and if I will focus myself on the positive as my last thought, I find I don't pick myself apart as much, which is part of what keeps me up. For sure.
No, I do that exactly. I go through every conversation and every meeting and then say what I would have done better. Like what I think I could.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, yeah. And then typically then I address it, which is probably not the best way. Like I message the person, I'm so sorry I said it in this way. Or like, oh my goodness, that's so powerful. Yeah, that helps with that too. That's good, Tiff.
So, okay. And last but not least, sleep cold with good equipment. So studies show you need to be cold. And this is from someone who was raised by a very economical father who we did not put the AC in Texas any lower than 80 degrees ever in our house. Ever.
Wow.
Oh, yeah. But your body adapts.
Awful.
Your body adapts, ladies. Your body adapts. But as I started having trouble sleeping, I realized I'm going to the thermostat and I'm going to happily pay that electric bill to pull the temperature down. So sleeping cold is really important. There's all kinds of equipment. You can get a mattress that has cold water constantly running through it to keep it cold, not to be the weird water beds that we had.
We had a call with that company, George and I.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. Recently.
Ooh.
Yeah, they have beds. So, yeah. It's powerful.
You may just turn down your AC. You may also get everything. Like if get a good mattress, and the mattress, a lot of people like those foam mattresses, or what are they? Is it foam? Is that the right word? All of a sudden, memory foam.
Yeah.
Memory foam.
Memory foam. Mm-hmm.
Get the more expensive one that's cooler. It's not good for your sleep. Well,
I wish I could. It
do
retains the heat for me, so we do the pillow top ones. But whatever helps you sleep better. That's
whatever helps
you want to prioritize cool. Prioritize cool and good equipment, which Seychelle already talked about. Pajamas. I didn't even think about that.
Oh, good pajamas are huge. Like I've discovered, I got to sleep in cotton. Like I've got to be in 100% cotton sleeping, or like terry cloth. Like anything without I blame my dad for that. I was always younger, why do you have to sleep in all cotton? And now I'm like, oh, it's true. I do sleep better in cotton. I wish I could ask him right now. I'm like, oh, because it's just been in the last year I've discovered that. But also sleep masks, the little eye covers.
Oh yeah.
Those can be amazing too. This is going to be silly too, but blackout curtains. If you're someone that can't sleep with ambient light in your room, Nick really needs it to be dark, so throw those blackout curtains in there. That's okay.
Well, the darker it is, the better you sleep. So blackout curtains. You also don't realize how many electronics emit light into
Yes.
your room.
True.
Yes.
So when we were in Taiwan during COVID and sleeping, like living in that hotel room, there were so many things that emitted light in that room. We went to the store, bought paper, and taped over the
Yeah,
smoke
duct tape over it.
detector, the thermostat, the fridge had a light. There was all kinds of crazy things. We found all the lights and covered them all up. So get rid of all the light in your room. That's a great point.
One thing that helps me is because I'm a very, when I do sleep, I'm very a light sleeper. So light and noise will make me wake up. And so like a white noise maker or something to get the noise out has helped me a lot too. Get to the 3 to 4 hours a night. so take that for what it's worth.
I believe in you, Sarah.
Yes.
No, that's great. And good sheets are
Good
the
sheets.
other thing.
Do y'all ever put a pillow under your knees when you sleep?
I cannot sleep like that. That is, Seychelle, I have got to be completely prostrate, completely flat.
Really?
That's the only way I can sleep.
Oh, like
Me too.
pillow. I just realized like the last couple of years, the pillow under like a very thin pillow under my knees. Oh, so great.
See,
So
but
great.
try it. Try
Yeah,
it.
but you never know, right?
Sleeping
Like
on your
everybody's
back.
different. Yeah.
Sleeping on your stomach. Not the best way to sleep, but it's the way that I sleep the best. And so
It's whatever works for you.
whatever works. But let me give you my favorite sheets, just because Sue Adler had these sheets in her house, and they were amazing. I went to her house, stayed in them, thought they were awesome, told Joshua about them, dreamed about them for a year, went back to her house again, and then I was like, these are as good as I remember them, and immediately bought 4 sets for my house. So Cozy Earth bamboo sheets are cool and so soft. They are the best. We get paid nothing.
Yes.
Go buy some Cozy Earth bamboo sheets.
They are amazing. Especially if you sleep hot at night and you need something to cool you down. Like they definitely cool you down. They're great.
Yeah, so good.
I learned
Okay,
so much
ladies.
today. Oh my
Sarah,
goodness.
how are you feeling? You got something you can implement?
I shared this with George already, saying I want to talk about this later. We're having our family meeting tonight of what we can implement, and I learned so much. So thank you guys for putting this together and just sharing.
This is Tiffany.
How important it is.
Tiffany is the shout
Yes.
out on this one. Thank you, Tiffany, for
No,
putting
it-
it together. She did a great job.
Well, and for all the listeners who are listening, like if we miss something that you think is awesome, leave us
We
a
wanna
comment. Like we want to
Yes.
hear. Everybody else
Yes.
who listens want to hear.
Yes.
And also, if this was helpful, we would love to hear that too. Leave us a review because we want to make sure we're providing the content that you want. And so leave us a 5-star review. Let us know how these episodes are changing your life. And for now, go out and build that big business, do that even bigger life, and then sleep like a baby tonight.
Ow, ow.
I love
Bye,
it.
guys.
Bye.